wonderful. It is peace and peaceful, curious, divine wisdom, excellence, and love, and so much more. I am one with this one. I know that everyone here and everyone who wishes to be here is one with this one. And so I'm declaring and knowing in this oneness that this gathering is blessed, that all the information that we need is presented, and that our questions are thoughtful and our answers are inclusive. And all that needs to be done is done here today in the mind of God, and it is good and very good. And so I give thanks and open the meeting, and join me in saying, and so it is. Amen.
I'm thinking this is live. It is. Welcome, everybody. So let me just tell you what our quick agenda is going to be. We can go to the next slide. Do we have slides? There we go. Yay. Just so you'll know, we just did the opening and the prayer welcome by Beth Van Arkel. But first, I just want to acknowledge that our bellies are full and satisfied because of Ruth Jackson leading the team. And I want to acknowledge Paul Pursuti, Helen, let me just call the first names because I know your last names, but I only wrote the first, so I don't want to blank out. Helen, Craig, Amy, Trisha, Liza, Freya, Linda, and Margot. Did I leave anybody out? Let's thank them, shall we? And so next up, we're going to have our treasurer's report by Elka Moritz, who is our treasurer of the board, and she is supported by Robert Leeds, who is leading up the finance committee that also includes Larry Wyman and Judith Roberts. And then I will, and who else? He's not on that committee. No, it's a committee of 3 or 4. Then I will do the current landscape and vision. Then we'll have a report on the leadership team, and we'll have an open discussion, and then we'll do closing prayer, just so that you know the lay of the land. So let's welcome our treasurer, Elka Moritz.
Here we go. Does that work? I have to step down to see the slides. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There we go. All right, we are presenting 6 months of 24, and you can see our total income was $170,000 roughly, and our total expenses were $193. So we had a net loss, which is for 6 months, and we hope to, we know we will do better in the next 6 months to close that gap in our budget between the income and the total expenses. The personnel expenses are part of the total expenses and were a pretty big chunk of the budget, which is pretty normal for any organization where we have people on staff. So the next slide, please. This is giving you a view of where our money is being kept and how much we have at the end of June. And we have a list of what we had at the end of 2022, so you can see what is happening to the reserve money that we have. And one of the points we want to make that we need to preserve a good chunk of the money for our reserves in case it is needed, so that we can operate for the next 70 years on this property. So, yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory where the money. Okay. Okay, the operating funds is the money that funds the current month's expenses, basically. Then we have a self-help account with a credit union that has $234,044 in it. We have our finance committee made a suggestion that we preserve $200,000 and possibly not touch that, as we need some reserve funds. It's really important that we have those. And we do have some in the building fund that was designated money for the restoration of the buildings that was deferred maintenance, and that has now been mostly spent except for $6,700, and that is still available for reserves for the maintenance of the buildings. And so the total of our operations and reserve accounts are now $271,077. It's a decrease of, since the end of 2022 through June of 24, of $79,000, almost $80,000. So the designated accounts is money that is set aside for different purposes, that like youth and family practitioner funds, and that's really not money that we could be spending in the operating funds. So I thought I'd mention that because that money is set aside and not available for spending, except for the youth and family practitioner and technology grant and some other things. So, any questions?
So a decrease, operation reserves line, is the decrease in operation, is that a decrease in the amount that we spent since last year, or is that a decrease? I'm confused.
Yes, that $80,000 is money we had to take out of our reserve funds in order to make up the expenses, because the income was less than the expenses we had throughout 23 and through June 24 for the year and a half.
And so were the expenses higher or the income lower, or both?
The expenses are pretty fixed. I think our income was lower, and and costs of utilities and other things have gone up. Well, it's always an interaction of both. Okay. Any other questions? There's another slide, yeah. Can we, well, let's leave this up for a moment. And are there any other questions, or do we move on? Okay, let's get the next slide up, please. Oh, okay, pledges. Any questions about pledges? Review, saying what? The pledges listed here are from the year 2020 when COVID happened, when we had pledges in the amount of $266,280, of which we received $241,429, which is 91% of the pledges were honored, and out of 135 people that pledged. So the next year, 21, still COVID, and we did have government grant money then through the for the COVID period. $206,405 were pledged. The amount received was $2,588. That is, the amount received is 90% of the total of 206. And 97 people pledged. And in 2022, 210,187 was the amount that was pledged, of which we received 207,748, and pretty good percentage, 98% was received of the pledged money, and we had 86 pledges that year. In 23, that was last year, we had amounts pledged $195,778, and we received more than the pledged amount, $203,097, which is 105%. There was an increase, which is very good, and we had more people pledging, 101 people pledging, so good. Less money. More, well, yeah.
In 22, we had 207 change thousand, and in 23, we had 203,000. So it was a less amount of money coming in, but more people pledging.
Yeah, well,
And more collected, 105%. They all came through. But still lower than 2022.
that is good, but the amount received has, as you can see, has decreased, so. No, we haven't gotten to 24 yet. That comes next. The top line is January through June of this year, which is 2024. We have so far pledges for 219,812, 82 pledges, and we have so far received 110,811, which is 50%, which is right on the dot. Yep, so that is good news. So we could make it, we will make it to 100%. So.
And it's, the amount pledged is bigger than last year, too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because Reverend Sunshine asked people to bump it up, and it looks like they have.
So if I could interject here, you're right, Liza. I did ask for people to, increase their pledges, and that's still happening. And so we're only half of the way through, you're right, and we're at 50%. So if we keep at that trend, we will at least be at 100%, but perhaps more. So there are a lot of factors that go into this financial picture. This is one of them, which is the giving, right? But then we have other activities to raise money. So this shows, in my mind, a steadiness, even despite the challenges of the environment, you know, with our membership being down, it's coming back up. I mean, there's a variety of factors that could go into explaining this picture. So I'm feeling pretty good about it, but I just wanted to add that 2 cents.
These numbers, is this at the end of the year, you know, where you, of course, we're not at the end for this year yet, but you have the amount received and the percentage and all that. This is only representing pledges, or is that representing all money coming in? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. The other money from the facility use and special events we have, the concerts and things like that is in addition to this.
Testing 1, 2.
This is it. Next slide, please. As you know, we have a finance committee, and the names of the finance committee are listed on the right. And Robert is our fearless leader for the finance committee. Do you have anything to add to this picture?
So our finance committee is Elke Moritz, Robert Leeds, Judith Roberts, and Larry Wyman. And we were formed at the beginning of this year to give support to the Board of Trustees in terms of analyzing finances, making recommendations, that sort of thing. So when we met for our annual meeting, that was in March? April 7th, so 3 months ago, I was going over some of the finances, and I gave you a fact, which was that we had a deficit of $7,000 a month, which elicited some gasps from the audience. But I tried to put it in perspective as far as, you know, it's not that hard to make up that difference. I want to let you know that over the past few months, we've cut that deficit in half. So it's definitely applaud. So that's really great, and part of that is eliciting more contributions. Part of it is trying to save some money, and the finance committee is going to continue to meet to work on that and to give recommendations to the board. But that we're definitely moving in the right direction. But we still have a ways to go, and Reverend Sunshine Michelle is going to be talking about her vision and her plans for what's coming up, which will also help have a positive impact on our income. What else did I want to say about that? There's a couple of things. Elke has forwarded some information to the Finance Committee recently, and I think it's something we're going to be talking about more, which is just what are the recommended guidelines for a nonprofit in terms of reserves and balanced budget and that sort of thing. So that $200,000 that we recommended not going below, I mean, it's somewhat arbitrary, but it's you know, there's what we don't want to keep doing is using our reserves to fund a deficit, because that's a downward spiral. So, you know, we have to look at ways of increasing our income and cutting costs as we can so that we can reach that balanced budget point, and then use our reserves for emergencies only, but also have a fund, for example, for a building fund where we can make repairs, because when you own everything as we do, the land and the buildings, that's a wonderful thing, that's a blessing. At the same time, there's upkeep and costs that go along with that. So we want to be in a good position to have that money so that the, you know, whatever comes along in the future, in the next 70, 80 years, we'll be prepared. So I just want to let you know that we're taking it very seriously, we're looking at it, we're making progress, and we appreciate all of your support.
Thank you, Robert. Yes, so are there any questions to any of these numbers.
Any question?
By being on the board, my name is Deborah Jackson, and I am on the board. And I sit and I listen every month in terms of our finances. And I just want to echo a thanks to Reverend Sunshine Michelle for asking that we absolutely uplift our finances, because we do have beautiful grounds, we are working, and we have cut our monies in half in terms of the debt on a monthly basis. And I just want to say thank you all for you guys contributing, for you listening and participating. And I want to say thank the Finance Committee for absolutely overseeing us and keeping us going in the right direction. That hasn't happened before. There wasn't a lot of people asking for us to up our money prior to this. And I'm glad, because of the fact that we were always looking at deep deficits. And so I'm glad we're moving in the right direction, and I'm glad for all the people who are participating in us getting rid of this debt. Thank you.
I will just mention that we are not alone. Other spiritual communities are in similar positions that we are. I don't look at their finances, but what I can tell you is I'm thinking about our education area, and we have some of the education committee here today. Our education is down, and it's a trend. And we have the pandemic to thank for that. Like, we were way up on the classes we were offering, the income it was bringing in, and that's not happening anymore. And I don't know that it's going to happen the way it used to anymore. It's not looking like it's going to come back. So the education committee, for instance, is looking at how we can be creative, how we can offer what you said you would take on the survey. And that's what we're planning towards. But it's like I cut the budget in half when I got here for education. It shows you how much less we are earning. So that's just one area. And you know, other communities are in similar positions. I'm reticent to say we're struggling, because we're not. We are simply reacting and recovering from an environmental situation that is causing us to do business differently. And we're doing it. We're doing it. And we haven't looked at what our fundraising efforts are going to be, which you will see in the slides coming up. So we're planning to raise money, but some of that takes money to do, and it takes planning and effort. So it's a combined picture is what I want to call to your attention. Did I see a hand?
Anybody else on finances? Questions? Comments? Okay, we're ready for the next level.
I guess that's me. So let's give Elka a hand, and the finance committee. That's Robert and Larry and Judith Roberts. Is Judith here? No, I thought she was here. Oh, here earlier. Great. I won't get an echo if I stand over here while I Paul. Okay, you know I like to roam around, so. Okay, what I would like to call out, let me just get to my sheet here, is the current landscape and vision is what I'm calling it. So we have a calendar of events that the board has put together that I will show shortly. And we're getting, I feel, kind of like a late start in the year, but we'll get the momentum going. But we wanted to do events that made sense, that our community want to participate in, and that will bring a yield. So it's a lot of consideration in play in that. So I'm gonna show you 2024 and part of 2025 calendar of events on the approved fundraising list. Other items to add. You know, when you have a spiritual community like this, you can't just do fundraisers. We have to do, like last week, we had a beautiful practitioner, was it last week or the week before? Practitioner recognition and dedication. We need to have volunteer recognition. Some of these things don't bring in funds, but there are lots of other activities that might cost us money. Then we have the education core, which I was just talking about, and planning for classes and workshop schedules. So these are the things I want to mention here about the funds. But in the midst of that also is the animal policy. So we have policies. How do you jump from calendar of events and fundraising to the animal policy? But it's the reality of the thing. We have an animal policy that we're introducing, so that's why I'm mentioning that. But let's go to the approved fundraising list next. I know this is kind of small, but so let me read it out loud to you. I'm proud of this one, and this one we're able to launch quickly and easily. And it's a chair dedication. These very chairs that you're sitting on were procured in our community long ago when the pews were removed. Remember how many were here for that? Oh, lots of people, right? It was a big deal, right? I was in the community before and then left and came back when we had pews and had a lot of discussion, took them up, and now we have these chairs. Well, we're going to have a chair dedication. I didn't do a show and tell on this slide, but what that means is we are going to, starting next month, so we're able to launch this pretty quickly, have little placards. We have 4 tiers. We have bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Thanks, Steve, for helping me come up with that nomenclature, where we will all have the opportunity to put our names or any dedication on the backs of the chairs. We're going to have those 4 categories of, what did I say, bronze, platinum. Bronze would be, I'm sorry I didn't put up there what this will be, because this is coming up soon. And I'm asking all of you to purchase a chair to dedicate, and I am asking all of you to ask at least 5 to 10 people to do the same. This is beyond this community too. Ask your family members, ask the people that provide services that you procure, ask other communities. We're going to ask our nonprofit partners so that the chairs can be dedicated. It's a fundraiser, and it has the opportunity to go upwards of like 15 grand in income for us if we go all out. So, I like to, from the mic, ask you directly, let's go all out on this. When we launch this, I want y'all to be in with me. And it's not just me, it's with us. Be in and go out there and have the chairs dedicated. And we have our 80th anniversary coming up next year. August 2025, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living will be 80 years old. So this is in tribute to that we're going to start now and do it now. So that's the first one. Yay! Can I get a yay? Yay. All right. Then we're going to do, this is all approved by the board. We had a whole brainstorming list of things that we thought we could do, and then we narrowed it down about what's doable and what will yield the most fun. So a Halloween costume bingo on Sunday, October 27th. These dates have been vetted with the master calendar. We have to compare it to the facilities use calendar. Susan Brecker left, but she's our coordinator of that. And we need to, so the dates are limited. So believe it or not, the only date that we can give for Halloween costume bingo was on October 27th, but we decided to do it on Sunday. So we're going to have a fun time where everybody can come to service dressed up for Halloween, and then we're going to have bingo afterwards. But Dow and I, our bookkeeper, were talking about, and she's looking into, thank you, Dow, that, we have to pay attention to regulations about the type of events that we have. So we might have to register, a certain way so that we can, because it could be considered gambling. Is that what you told me, Dow? Right. And so, there's forethought that needs to go into this. Okay. Online silent auction is going to be September 27th through October 18th. Nancy Hester is leading that. I see Gabriella Condi here, who's on that team, as is Maureen French, and I don't know if you have somebody else. This was a great one last year, so we're repeating this, right? We're going to do it online, not in person, and so if you have anything, any services to donate, any products or what have you, they're going to be looking to you pretty soon to be thinking of that. We raised about $5,000 last year on that one, so this is a good one. Okay, Wellness Day Sound Healing is a combo kind of event. We'll do one or both, and we're targeting November. This is, again, working with Susan Brecker, who on the facilities use calendar as to what's available and what's doable. So this is, we've had sound healing events here before with singing bowls and sound healing like that, and so we're looking into that. The Wellness Day connected to it is tarot card readings and spiritual mind treatments and labyrinth walk and that sort of thing. So we're going to do that. We're looking at November for that. The Holiday Arts Crafts Fair, Deborah Edwards is usually the lead on that. Huh? What did I call you? Oh, Deborah, I'm sorry, you're Jackson, right? I'm sorry about that. Thanks for catching that and saying that to me. Sunday, December 15th. How many of you went to that before? Okay, so now you have a head start to go solicit vendors to buy a booth or a table so that we can fill that up quicker this time, get the word out so that we can make more money. And then what we have listed here is the 80th anniversary, as I already mentioned, in 2025. We're already starting on that. That's why I'm mentioning the chair dedication is in tribute to the anniversary, but we can start on that now. We talked about a talent show in the spring. We're raring to use that stage over there, and we have a lot of talent here. We have a yard sale that we were going to do this fall that, as Paul and I were talking about it, because he's the lead on that with all these other things, because it yields a lot, but it's a lot of work to do, so we're going to do that in the spring. And then an anniversary gala. And this was me that put costume ball in there, right? I put with a question mark, but I'm just hankering for us to dress up in a ball or something. But maybe it's summer or maybe it's fall of next year. So those are approved fundraising things. That's not to say that we can't do something else, but that's what we're going to do. Any questions, quick questions there? Okay. Next slide. Okay, these are other events that I mentioned that we want to add on the calendar, recognition events. We've already held the practitioner recognition on June 30th. We need a volunteer recognition. We thrive on volunteers, so we need to recognize them. Youth and Family Ministry, recognizing them and how we're growing and bursting out of the seams. Our director, Jackie O, is back there. I saw Diane. Diane is there. We have, we're growing in facilitators there, practitioner and chaplain Doug Myers and Maureen French have been working in there. Anybody else, Jackie O, we need to call out? Shirley Ann, Megan's mother. I mean, so we've had a boost, and let me just tout that, I talk to every person that comes through the front door as much as I can. We have more families coming. This is the direction we want to go. And I talk to them and ask them, well, how did you hear about us? They say online, They either know about us, they're coming from San Jose, they're coming from Livermore, they're coming from different places with children, multiple children. And excited children. I talk to the children too, and they're bursting out of the seams, some of them, because they're happy to be here. This is good. Can we give a hand for that? It's really good. And then the social justice ministry, do we have anybody here from that ministry? Not right now, but the social justice ministry wants to do 3 events that we're talking about right now. Some of these dates are to be determined, not all scheduled. They want to have a listening circle in September, and they want to have 2 movie screenings, one in October and one in November. So they're staggering, and they want to invite other CSL communities. So, it's just a matter of how we pull that together, but those are things that we're going to add that don't necessarily bring in revenue, but they're important for our community. Next slide. Other events, here's where the fall educational offerings are. Is Judith here? She's not here yet, okay. Okay, so we have 2 workshops on grief, so let me back up and say that we had 2 focus groups, which yielded a lot of information about education, and then we also had, in the community engagement survey, we had a couple of questions around education. So the education committee has been meeting to see what this community really wants and what we can do and put on our schedule. So 2 workshops, one on grief and one on aging, 3 hours each. The Women's Spiritual Empowerment Group, led by Reverend Jerry and Reverend Catherine. They want to do that again in the fall, which is a hit. It usually has about 25, 30 people. How many have gone to that? Look at that. I mean, like, most of the women in here have gone to that or are part of that. It's usually about 6 weeks, 2 hours each session, one per month-ish, and the date is TBD, but it'll be in the fall. And then we've had several requests for an author panel. We have about 7 authors, at least. I see one right there whose book is coming out. Eleanor's book is coming out in November, and we have Reverend Ikea has a book, and we have Miss Irene Sardanis, and Craig Johnson has a book on art. I didn't have a list right here, but we have about 7 authors with books. So they want to do an author panel, a moderated panel, and then signing. So that's a good thing that we're going to do probably in October, November. And then this is Science of Mind, SOM stands for Science of Mind Quick Start. We're going to do 3 sessions, and they're shorter sessions, like maybe a couple hours each. And what we thought would be good about this is to introduce newcomers to the Science of Mind principles. We have people regularly coming to our center, so we want to tell them more about the principles that they can practice in their lives. We want it to be a refresher for some people who need a refresher. And then as we look to bring in new members, then we want this to be a requirement so that they learn about the Science of Mind philosophy. So those are the educational offerings. All right, and I think this is last but not least, and then we get into a discussion. I'm switching gears now, the animal policy. And I want to thank Paul Persuti for helping out with this. So the need was because we had several situations with pets here, and dogs in particular, and we didn't have a policy and so we felt it was necessary to put one together. So we've shared this with the board, and this is where we land. It's effective today. It has been written up. We will publicize it. We want to be public with it. It addresses 3 areas: hygiene, and allergies, and safety. And so that is the reason why we're putting this forth. We've had several instances of that, and that's why this is coming forth now. We're following the most common protocols that are out there, and they mainly relate to service animals. certified service animals is what the policy will allow, and that excludes comfort pets, comfort animals and pets, which has become more popular. This does not mean, because I know this community loves doing it, it's come up over and over and over to do an animal blessing. We used to do that quite often, right? We want to do that. We're not saying we don't want to do that. We're just talking about general protocols with regard to people who bring animals to service. So we still want to do the animal blessing, and we'll put it on the calendar, actually. So we will post this. We have a policy written up. Thank you, Paul, for working with me on this. And he has signage. We have signage that we're going to put in the foyer. We're going to put in of this building, as well as in the window of the other building. We'll put it in the newsletter, and we will announce it on the pulpit so that people know. And there you go. Any questions on that? Yeah, Dow. Oh. Yes, you can. So Dow's question is, can we bring teddy bears and stuffed animals for comfort? And the answer is yes to that. And by the way, we are live streaming. Hi, live streamers, and anyone who will see this on recording. And that's a great thing. Thanks, Peggy and team, for doing that. Anything else? Okay, great. My vision. So I have a burgeoning vision, and I haven't written it down, but I've been talking about it. So now I'm writing it down and sharing it with you, and I will list it somewhere for you to see, either in an email on Breeze, or we'll think about where to post this. First and foremost is financial stability and growth. You know, we're still recovering from the pandemic. We are still recovering from the pandemic. We are growing. We have about, I would say on average, 80 to 90 participants in person. When I first got here, it was maybe 50 to 60. So this is on a regular, plus online, we have up to 40 people. So we're coming back, and people are excited, and it's, other communities are going through the same thing we are. We're not alone in this. We will continue gathering data. I call it the IDA project, information, data, and analysis. It helps us to understand our current community better, who's participating online. We don't know that right now, and we need to know that right now. We need to clean up. Breeze is our membership database, so we need to clean that up so that we understand who's there and how we communicate with them. And we're implementing some of the survey and focus group results. So we're asking, I'm big on, if you ask for information and people give it to you, then you have an obligation to do something with it. So that's what the data is from. And transform front of house. So front of house, in my mind, is this area, anything that brings people in. And we said this a while back, and we haven't implemented it. Constance Chapman had donated 2 iPads for self-service check-in. Right now, we have check-in by people, which is great, who log you in. Gabriella Condi leads that effort with her team. And we want it to be more self-service, but we also want to have it be user-friendly so that you understand what we're doing with the data, why we need the data. It's really important. And that's the only reason why we continue to ask you for it. It helps us to know who's in our community and to communicate with you. And so we want to transform that area to make it flow a little better, and we're going to have to, do self-check-in perhaps, and then more greeting, more hands-on greeting. I know that's what Gabriella would want. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yep. Can someone take her a
It's
mic?
coming right now.
Hang on, can you say it on
Gabriella,
mic?
hold on.
Sorry. So you probably have 2 years of data collected because I think we were doing it before you came. And I'm wondering if you can tell me over the last 2 years with some details, what parts of the data has leadership been looking at, and what have you been doing with the data? Like, or what changes have you made? Like, are you offering something? Like, what are you looking for? Okay, so we had more 40-year-olds come. I'm just trying to think of like what you're looking at. So last April. So then did you offer something different? What are the changes we make when we learn something about that data? Or
I think that's a wide open question that we haven't quite nailed yet because the data is kind of all over the place. We have, for instance, how many of you got the note that I sent yesterday on peace and prayers or something? I forget what I said. Okay. So I sent it to everyone. We have like 864 names in our database, right? They're separated by certain categories, but a lot of them overlap. And it's hard for us to, like if I had to just send to a narrow group of who's our members are and who comes regularly, I wouldn't know who to send it to, right? So in order to communicate, to say, hey, we're transforming, this is a hypothetical to hopefully answer your question. We're having, we're having a concert and we want to give our members the first opportunity to buy tickets, and we want to send something to you in email, which is through Breeze. That's the name of. I wouldn't know who to send it to. Our data in Breeze needs to be cleaned up radically, right? So that then we can do like I want to say target marketing. I know that just sounds terrible, but it's true. Like I want to communicate with parents that are going to say, hey, we're growing our youth and family ministry, and Jackie O is offering, and Diane and her team, they're offering XYZ. I wouldn't necessarily know who to send it to because the data is incomplete. And so it gives us more information on our community. It helps us to know how to, like what y'all want, how to communicate with you. It just gives us so much, and we don't have access to it right now. But we need to, the reason we keep doing it is because we want to keep gaining this information about who's coming and who's coming back, because people are coming back. They tell me they're coming back. So if we don't ask, we don't know, and then we don't know how to communicate. So it's a real communication tool that has far-reaching efforts that we've not yet tapped into because the data is not sortable in a way that makes sense.
and how would you set up the data so it is sortable? Like, are you thinking about new fields, new questions?
I think, I think listening to your questions, Gabriella, and maybe you can be on it, we need a team to look at the material to set it up in a way that makes sense to us, right? Because right now it's all over the place, and it's hard for me to know who members are, but who comes regularly. They're not exactly a member yet, but they could be. Who's taking classes? Who do we need to market it to? Who's on the track for practitionership? Our database tells us all of that if it's sorted in a certain way. So we need to get smart about, we need a team to really look at how we want to organize it for our best uses for where we're headed. Thank you for your questions. Okay, we're getting there, everybody. Okay, my vision is to transform the membership program. What I want to say about that is there's so many ways for people to get inspiration these days. I know people, you've heard me say this before, I know people who attend 3 spiritual services a day online. And so it's not like it used to be, where we're the only one that they follow. So how do we engage the people who have us on that short list of the ones that they go to, the communities they go to? So we need to get smarter around how we label. Is it membership? We were talking the other day, it's like partnership. Okay, well, maybe we have partners. You know, maybe people don't have to be members, but what are the perks of being members? So that's what it means, transform the membership program for growth, and especially to attract families and diversity into our center. Enhance our marketing and engagement techniques. We continue to talk about that. And how we're working with CityScoop, an agency right now, who is helping to boost us on social media, and they're doing articles for us that are going on our website for our search engine optimization, you know, so that when people search for us, we come up at the top. So we're working on these things. Enhance our technology efforts are huge anywhere you go. So that is really important. Build and develop, and Reverend Allie, I saw her here a minute ago. She's helping on that effort. Build and develop our volunteer teams. We have some gaps right now. Membership, volunteers, compassionate care, social media, facilities use, technology. We need to build in, these are gaps that we're closing. We're still doing pretty good, even though we have gaps, but we just have to close the gaps. And then to host regular listening circles and to hear what people's issues are. I mean, I think this is, you know, this climate that we are in. Reverend D. Jacqueline Edwards was here today, and she has a focus ministry called Platinum Butterfly. And I had a vision that came to me, and I reached out to her. Maybe we need to partner together to open up our center to have discussion groups about how people are feeling about the current landscape. Because there's a lot of fear that's out there right now. That's why I opened up service the way I did today. There's a lot of fear, and people are focusing on fear. What can we be doing to help mitigate that? All right, and so Judith is not here. I don't see who I can, I'm gonna go through these next couple of slides quickly. I was hoping somebody else could go through them so that you're not just stuck with my voice. But we had a leadership team meeting here a couple weeks ago. How many people were at that? Oh, quite a few leaders in the room. Thank you. Next time, bring somebody with you. So it's not, y'all could give the gist of that meeting just as much as I could. So we have co-leads and leads of our auxiliaries is what I call them. We're meeting quarterly or starting up quarterly. We just met on June 29th. We're gonna meet again in September. And one of the things that came up at that meeting is that group is not an exclusive group. We're all important in this community, but that's just, not just, but it is a group of volunteers who've gotten together who lead certain departments here at Oakland Center. So we're assembled to help deploy information and share it with you and generate some ideas. So here I thought I would just give some of the ideas that this group came up with. So the next slide, schedule an animal blessing event. That was big back in the day where people, you know, brought their pets, and well, we would have to do it a different way, right? Or do it in a conscious way, but to bless the animals. Include testimonials in the service about abundance. Have the youth speak after their experience in summer at teen camp. So Jackie O, we want to do that within the next couple of weeks because the teens just got back from teen camp. Have a big splash season for nonviolence. I know Linda Wyman has been doing that for several years, and you know, wants to collaborate with across CSL communities. Start regularly honoring volunteers and auxiliary leaders. We used to do that on Sunday service. I kind of do that, but it's haphazard, but we want to do it on a regular basis, like I acknowledged Peggy today and Sage. So we want to do that on a regular basis because, you know, 95% of our help is volunteer. Next slide. Share with the community who's on the teams. this is what came out of that meeting. Share with who's on the auxiliary teams, what gaps we need to fill, some of which I've told you about today. Show and tell videos during the service to show what great things we're doing. And several things with the youth. Have the youth come to the service for a community blessing. We've been talking about that, but we have to get them in here. Have them come at the end of service and talk about what they're discussing in their youth and family, and show pre-recorded videos during the service about our youth. You know, we have a blessing for our youth that is age old. I mean, let's change that, just like the vision statement that we have. Maybe it's time to change that, but we have to vision on it. So these are just some of the things. I want to open it up. I'm done with, I think the next slide should be the closing slide. Is that right? Yeah. So let's back it up to the next one, and let's open it up for discussion and questions. I know it's hot. Y'all full. You're going to sleep. I see you. And, you know, and you're ready to go. But if you have any questions, now's the time. You have any ideas? What is it that you want to say?
Okay, going into the back
I
here.
think Alice had her hand up.
Right, and I've got
Okay.
someone here. Just want a quick reminder on microphone management. When you use your microphone, it picks up in this area. So if you hold it like this and suck your thumb, you will be in the right position, okay? See how I have it? See how well that
Was I
works?
doing that, Paul?
You're talented enough, okay.
What a relief.
Hi, I'm Jan, and I consider myself a newbie. I showed up in January, did January, February, March, and I want to say thank you. The reason I am speaking is because of Gabriella and her welcoming in the door, Mr. Wyman and his gang standing outside the door, because it's easy to drive up into the parking lot and park my car and then say, you know, I'm out of here. And so these people welcoming in the door every time I came, and then the women's empowerment group grabbed me. And then I fell out due to, well, I actually fell. I've been in rehab in the hospital for the last 4 months, and today's my first day back after the accident, and I just want to say thank you for being here. I've done Center for Spiritual Living for many, many years in different places, and I think I found a new home. Thank you, darling.
Yay. Tell me your name again. What's your name?
Jan Brewer.
Jan. Oh, I love that, Jan. Giving a shout. Did Larry pay you to say all that?
No, I got fed, though. So, Robert, were you the one that said, you know, feed them and they'll come? Well, whoever said that during the service, that's why I'm here. You fed me good, and I stuck around. Thank you
Yeah,
very
that
much.
was on purpose. And let's give another hand to Ruth Jackson and her team.
Yes.
Y'all got fed well.
Thank you, Ruth.
Can I have somebody take notes? Is somebody taking notes? Okay, thank you.
So thank you, Jan Brewer was her last name. Thank you,
Okay.
Jan. Going up here all the way to the back, who wanted to chat? Here you go, darling.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tricia Gregoire, and I had a question about some ideas that were floated out there for fundraising. There's a group of people that actually came to me and started talking to me about it, was doing a car wash, and we weren't sure. We thought it would be a good community builder, and we thought it would pull other people in from outside of our immediate community, but I just wanted to see if that could gain any traction at some point.
Well, thank you for that, Tricia. Is somebody writing that down? Will you write that down? Thank you. Because, you know, we have a parking lot that can handle a car wash, right? That would be a fun event, and we'd need to do it while it's still warm outside, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Last week would have been ideal. Bikini car wash. I think that's a fun.
Alice Herndon has her hand up, Paul.
I'm sorry.
Alice Herndon, yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alice Herndon. I would like to suggest, I know we're working on more trainings, but but we really need more trainings. And I would like to suggest short like workshops and trainings on prayer, and then in the service when we have the licensed practitioners come up and pray, to also encourage everyone in their seats to also pray. And then I just think that having short workshops on prayer and on our science of the mind treatments, that just I know it has enriched me so much, and I just think that the more you do it, the better you get, the more it continues. And so I would like to just, again, more prayer workshops and training.
Thank you, Alice. And actually, that was a biggie on the results of the focus, both the focus group and the survey is, that's why we're going short. People said loudly and clearly that they want short, sweet, not the longer classes that they used to take. So I don't know what that does about the certificated classes from home office, Centers for Spiritual Living, but certainly short workshops like you're talking about. Grief came up often, and what's the other one I said? Aging came up, and that could be another one. So thank you for that. Anybody else? Doesn't have to be a question, it could be a comment. I think Gabriella and then Linda.
Are we doing any concerts like the November one we did last year? Are we doing that again? Well, it wasn't up there. That Kev produced?
We did the one in May with Melanie DeMoore, and the other one that we're looking at is a sound healing. It's kind of like it's not really a concert.
That's popular. Like, that
yeah.
would be easy for me to invite people to, because that's, I don't know, popular, and I think this is a great space for something like that.
Yeah,
So,
that wasn't on the docket right now because we did one this year, but what we chose to do the other concerts, like we did two, one in October, one in May. So we were moving next to the sound healing workshop, which has come up a number of times. So I'm looking at David I never know how to say his name, DeLulo, and you have a couple of people too. And I know someone who does vocal sound healing as well. And so, yeah.
I know if someone does the bowls and does their own
Okay,
thing.
you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabriella said that. So we'll contact you, Gabriella.
I'm coming,
Miss
Miss
Lita.
Linda was next.
Okay, I know this has come up before, but I was walking across today when Use Me came, and everybody was sitting down. Is there some way we could just encourage people to stand up and sing the songs that we know? Like Use Me, I think it adds so much energy for people to, just belt it out. And, I like to sing, but nobody likes to hear me sing. So I would like to be accompanied when I start singing by the congregation. And I think it would really help improve the energy.
Thank you for that. You know what and by the way, I don't have to be the only one responding. If any of our board members have a comment or somebody else, y'all just say, here, I have the answer. But I do know the answer to that one, and that is we've been asked a number of times to put the lyrics to common songs on the screen. Last week, did anybody catch it? Some lyrics were up there. So I've said that to the musicians, and the coordination of doing that hasn't happened as smoothly as it should, but we're working on at least having the lyrics up there. As far as standing up, that's something we can take into, yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm happy to, right now I'm the music lead, so I'm happy to write to them and ask them to have people stand in, as well as give us the lyrics ahead of time, but it's coordinating what they're going to sing, which sometimes they don't know until last minute, and then getting it if it's not already a slide. Miss Lita.
I have two comments. One is relative to the lettering on the screen. When it's bright like it is today, it's a little too bright for me, but sometimes the background is very, very pale, like very pale pink, and if white lettering is projected on such a light pink background, I can't even read it, and I have good distance vision, and so I can't read it when the background is too light. The second thing is, sometimes those in the pulpit who are speaking for whatever reason, and it could be my hearing has diminished again, but the voices are not always projected into the mic. And I think that is the problem. Because when the voices are projected into the mic, I have no problem hearing. And as I said, I suspect my hearing has diminished a little bit, and it's time to go see my ENT. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lita. We had, for speaking up and speaking out, we had somebody comment on the lettering issue last time, and I think it was different than what you said this time, but we'll try to keep that in mind for how we present the material. And if Beth, you're taking notes, or Reverend Ike or somebody, we can talk to the musicians to have them be in the mic more for hearing. Thank you. Was there a hand over here? Was anybody else? Oh, yeah?
Paul's afraid to give me the mic again. This may be my ignorance because of COVID and everything. This might be my ignorance because of COVID, but I miss at the end of service when we would hold hands and we would sway back and forth and sing the last song. I miss that so much. And I know some people are reticent about, but I just didn't know if we could reinstate that.
Yeah, it's a good comment. I think it does have to do with the pandemic, even though we're masking optional right now. A lot of people are wearing masks. They're distancing themselves. People have different comfort levels, but I love the question, so or the comment. So beautiful. Reverend Ike, are you saying something in relationship to?
I was just going to suggest that everybody who's going to speak from the front, who may be a pulpit assistant, maybe the announcer, whoever it is, that they get a reminder to speak into the microphone that's up there, or whatever microphone's available. I think one of the speakers this morning was not speaking into the microphone, and it was hard to hear her. She and the microphone were not working together. So just, I don't know if that can go in the top of the, order of service page or somewhere. Speak into the microphone.
That's good to know. And listen, if y'all are having a problem hearing in service, say something to somebody so that we can adjust it right then, because we can, and we want to, so that you can hear. So thank you for that. Were y'all waving or what? Oh, no, her hand is up.
This is Alice again. This is just really quick. I think at the end of the service, a lot of people don't realize that the service isn't over until the last song is sung. And so after the announcer person finishes, a lot of people are getting up and talking and walking, and I don't think that they realize that the service isn't over until that last song is. And so if that last announcer person can say, and, you know, before we close out our service, this is our last song, or just say something so that people don't start their conversations and stuff, because it is distracting. And
Yeah, thank you for that, Alice. And in all honesty, and I'm speaking because, you know, as the ecclesiastical leader, this is in my purview. Some of the people at the pulpit, I've noticed, indicate that it's over. Like, thank you for coming, bye, you know, so we need to curb that and get people to stay. So thank you for that. Anybody else? Comments, questions, anything? Woo, hand went up. Robert and then Gabriella.
I just want to take a minute to acknowledge all the hard work that you're doing, Reverend Sunshine Michelle. And no, she did not pay me to say this. I don't think people have a grasp of the range and depth of the demands that are on you, because you're not just the spiritual leader, but you're also the CEO and the operations director, and you know, everything else that goes into keeping this community going. And that's you know, you get pulled in lots of different directions. There's lots of different demands, and it's a challenging position, very challenging. And I just want to thank you for your energy and your dedication and your love for our community. So thank you.
That just means so much. My goodness. I mean, I cannot tell you how that boosts me, because to be real honest, y'all, this is not an easy job. And there are some times where I am so whipped, all I can do is go home and sit down somewhere. And it's worth it. I'm called to this by Spirit. So thank you for saying that. That just means so much. Thank you.
Well, because we've talked about singing so much, maybe we already do this, but why don't we just ritualize the last song, like the lyrics are always on the board, just every time, and in black print, and maybe we all stand up for that last one, and then we all, you know, just every Sunday, that's what we do. We all sing together, at least the last one, and make it a thing.
One song, the same closing song? Is that what you're saying? The same one
The
every
songs
week?
that we have the lyrics for.
Oh.
I mean, a lot of us know them, but I'm sure there's people in the room that don't, and we don't have hymn books. So if we could have them written in black, and maybe, I think they're usually there, but sometimes they're not. So
They're not always.
Okay.
I did find, Steve found, let me be honest, Steve Carter, our operations coordinator, found, what was it called? There was a common songs or a songbook? A songbook, okay. But when we found it, they're not songs they're not as active songs as we thought that they might be. So the coordination of that is a little more challenging than you would think, but yeah.
Well, Kev usually plays Blessed Always. Like,
yeah, he does.
I mean, half the month. We know that, so that's something we could have up, and that's fine. That's the one we used to hold hands and stand to. But if we just make it more of a formal,
we would have to make it formal to have him do that every time. He doesn't. He happens to like that one. That's why he does it.
I can tell.
But some others do, you know. So we might want one or two, but
sure,
it's a
it
good
could
idea.
be more than one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I get through here to pour? Sorry, sweet pea.
Hang in there. We're not done yet. We're going to get out of here early.
Thank you. I love music, all kinds of music. My comment is, and I realize that much of the music is relative to the service, the topic, which makes sense. But my request is, whoever the musicians are, if they could make at least one song, you know, kind of upbeat, with a beat to it, you know. And I would love that. Like dancing in the streets, you know, just have a little beat to it, a little bit of jazz there. Just one. Thank you.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Miss Lita. They do try to mix it up a little bit, but yeah. All right, Paul,
May I say something?
please.
I've talked to Reverend Sunshine over the last couple of months, and I'm pretty much the back row guy. I think you all know that. I've done it for years, and I'm back pretty much solidly. And I told her my intention of working towards building up our usher and greeter team, and working with Gabriella, and working with the ever lovely Larry out front, and so we have a cohesive thing. In the event that something is uncomfortable for you in the service, that I can take care of from the back of the room, i.e. microphones and things like that. You won't need to run them through Reverend Sunshine. I will do my best to make it happen. I have your permission to do that, right? So that the service can go and that we can remedy the situation. Someone last week was uncomfortable because they have oversensitive ears right now because of a condition, and were uncomfortable with music during the meditation. So we were able to handle that. Again, if someone's not speaking clearly on the microphone, I can work with our guy and make sure it's up to its full capacity. Fair enough? And we'll try to take too hot, too cold, too much light, not enough light. All those things are in my house in the back, so please feel free to knock on the door. Okay? You all right with that?
I'm all right with that. Why would I even say no to that? So anybody else? Going once, going twice? This isn't the last time. I'm very reachable. Rev Sunshine at oaklandcsl.org. So are our board members. They have tags that they wear, like Beth is wearing today and Elka has on. We're very accessible. If something comes up, let us know. If there's questions, if there's comments, if there's suggestions, let us know. It takes community for us to be in community. It's not just a few single people. Know that I appreciate each and every one of you. And, we're on an upward trajectory. And the climate is tough out there sometimes. So if we just stick together, we'll get there. We're getting there already, don't you think? Yeah? Okay, are we ready to pray out? Okay. I asked Rev Deb Hammond if she would pray us out, so here we go.
First, before I do the prayer, I just want to give a round of applause for the board and for Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman for this presentation, for all that has taken place on today. Because they've made this all possible to make you all aware of what's going on. And just looking at the growth and evolution of this community, it's such a beautiful place to be, and the beautiful hands that bring this together. So just thank you all for being here. And with that, we will go into prayer. So just take in everything that has been said to you today. Take it into your heart space. Just allow the words, the suggestions, the comments that have been made, allow that to just permeate you. And then think about also how you can continue to support this community, also how you can bring others to support this community as well, and how to continue to keep bringing your heart, bringing who you are, the essence of who you are, into this space. And just sit with that for a minute and just give thanks for your presence here today, for the food that we've eaten today. Give thanks for all that we know is unfolding for this community and for the world, because everything that you all do is a reflection of this community, and it's going out into the world. It's a healing space. You all are a healing balm that goes out into not just Oakland, but out into the world. So just as you're in this space right here, just allow yourself to just breathe into that space of God that is holding and within you right here and right now. Just allowing yourself to just breathe into all that has been said today, all that the conversations that will happen even after this meeting, this gathering. We give thanks for all of the hands that have made this forum possible today, even the food that has been prepared for each one of us to enjoy, giving thanks for all of the helping hands and hearts that have made this event possible. We give thanks for knowing that everything that has been said today and that there will be more information that will come. What we know is that it's already, these are seeds that are being planted out into the world. These are seeds that are being planted into this community, and that there is a growth that's happening right here, right now. And that knowing that as these words have been spoken, the comments that have been spoken, that they've gone out into the universe and that they're already being made manifest right now. So your words are coming to fruition. I give thanks knowing that everything that will continue to take place for this center and for all of the centers that are here, that there's a collaboration of heart and hands that come together, because this is that spiritual community. This is like that hub, that spiritual hub that's here. And knowing that each leader, that the board of directors, the senior minister, the volunteers, we give thanks for the practitioners and for the ministers that are showing up, and for the congregants that are here that show up every week, be it online, in person, or watching a recording. We give thanks for your presence. We give thanks for your guidance. We give thanks for how you show up and all that you bring to this center. We know that everything is truly unfolding in perfect and divine order, because that's how God is operating. God is watching over and making sure that everything that is being put out into the universe, that it is saying yes, 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 and that it is unfolding quicker than you can even imagine. Because I always say, it's like, be ready for what you ask for, because it is already unfolding. And it may not happen right when you think that it should, but it's always happening on time. So I just give thanks for this opportunity to do this closing prayer, and I give thanks for the blessings that are continuing to unfold in this community. I give thanks knowing that everything is already being done in the mind of God, and it is all perfect, it's all good, and it's all God. And I just anchor this prayer with, and so it is. Amen.